What in the world? What was... I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I enjoyed that section just because I know several people that are like that.
I felt it really meandered, and I didn't feel like they explained things very well.
It's insane, right? Art the Clown.
I'm something different.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to another Modern Horror Movie Talk. I'm your host, Tyler Nichols, and you know him, you love him, Andrew Hatfield, back for another one. Andrew, how you doing?
Good. I'm just really fighting for that official co-host credit with the amount of screen appearances I've been getting lately. I'm doing good. I'm in a different room today. I got a full house. Got my son from California, which ties into today's movie, and also my folks are in town. So up here in the room, barricading the door like it's a George Romero movie. So I'm ready to go. How are you doing?
If we hear any ruckus, we know that's what it is. So
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I'm now currently dealing with a massive fly that just started buzzing around me. So if you see during the recording something go around, that's what that is. So that's lovely. Hopefully it doesn't pop up on the audio. But yeah, things have been going pretty well. The summer movie season is really kicked off at this point. So I'm very, very pumped about it. But before we even get into that, I wanted to address the fact that the Manson brothers will be leaving the channel. They're going to be starting up one of their own channel. And so just wanted to say you guys should go and support them because they're just some awesome guys and they always have some good content. I know that I was always looking forward to them on Wednesdays. So I'm not sure when they're putting their stuff up and what day and all that stuff. Maybe they'll do multiple days. I have no idea. We will have the link in the description. So make sure that you subscribe and all of that good stuff because again, great guys. And yeah, that's all of our business up front. So we got to do the most important thing, and that is what you drinking.
I'm going easy tonight because I went a little extreme on the 4th of July. So I'm just doing a Lazy Dog Dark Abyss. It's a black Kolsch style ale, and it's just easy drinking for the summertime.
Nice. Yeah, that is very good.
What about you?
Well, I'm keeping up my pop adventure because my stomach's still not doing great. And so I got something real interesting. It's a Jones special release and it's Hatch chili and lime. And I would never get this regularly. So I was like, okay, might as well try it out. So trying it out. I also have a different one, a strawberry lime, just to make it in case this one sucks. So we'll see how it goes.
It kind of looks like you're drinking fancy Ecto Cooler out of a bottle. So I'm all here for it.
Yeah, it looks even better with the lighting and all that. Yeah, That is awesome. Oh, I love that. But yeah, and I also tried to avoid, well, I guess it'll change once I switch to the red one, but I got the fruit punch mouth in the last video and I immediately noticed it. And I was like, oh no, my pop plan is going to go very wrong if I continue this, but oh well, that's just how it goes sometimes. So Andrew, cheers to you, cheers to our audience, and cheers to some Insidious.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
So when it comes to Insidious, I'm wondering what your opinion of the franchise is, because there's been 4 other movies before this.
I think it's a really solid franchise. I think it's the right way to do PG-13 horror. I think the first one especially is kind of an all-timer for that early 2000s. It was 2007, I think, was the first one. Does that sound about right?
That doesn't sound right to me, but...
It doesn't? Okay. Let's see where my head's at. I'm probably way off on that.
2010. I knew I was in
okay,
college. I was like, I don't think so, but...
So then it's the very beginning of the 2010s, which was different than even the regular early 2000s, but it's a solid franchise. I think some of it, like I truly don't remember anything of the fourth one, the one with the keys, other than the key hand that can turn off your voice and open random doors and things like that. I know 2 of them are prequels, so this is technically a sequel just to number 2. So if you wanted to catch up quick to go see it in theaters, just watch 1 and 2 and then go see this one and then go back. But no, I really like it. I think I've seen all of them in theaters now.
Oh, nice.
So that's one of the few series, especially horror, that I can say that to. But I like it. I really like Lee Winnell. I really like Patrick Wilson and the cast and everything. So I was excited to go in and see this. And I haven't seen a movie opening day in a long time. So that was fun. What about you?
So I've never been super in love with the Insidious series. I'm actually much more of a Conjuring guy. I absolutely love the Conjuring films and even the spin-offs. And so Insidious just doesn't hit that same mark for me. And I've always enjoyed it, but I actually rewatched the first two in preparation for this film, and I didn't like them, especially the first one. The second one, I was able to have some fun, but it's one of the first times that I've watched a movie where I was like, oh my God, this feels very dated and of its time, where it wasn't working for me. So many of the things just felt so very tired. And I think it's mostly because so many other movies have done that since. And it wasn't so crazy original at the time, where like a lot of the elements I feel like you can bring from other films. Like, heck, the second one has this whole possession plot that is straight out of like Amityville Horror or The Shining. And so it just never had much identity to it, except for in how it looked. I always liked how it looked. It had a very cool look, but how it would essentially go for scares, it was really the first time, and this movie really cemented it further, the one we're talking about today, where I realized like, oh yeah, this is the jump scare franchise. Like,
yes, it has one of the all-timer jump scares where the red demon appears behind Patrick Wilson in the first one.
Yeah.
I watched them recently. I didn't go back purposely. It's been over the last year or so. My 12-year-old, who's 13 in November, has been really getting into PG-13 movies, and I rewatched it with him, and I didn't find the first one like trite or overused. But again, I think I was watching him watch the movie a lot of the time too. Like, you know, and he jumps a lot. But then he went through and watched the other ones, and he was all psyched to come watch this one with me. But I could see, I think your point is really valid about like, it feels that way because a lot of other movies have done that since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And even that look, it feels like a Blumhouse movie, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, and so I want to know too, because I don't know anyone that likes 3 and 4. I feel like those are pretty dogged on films, like just throughout. Anyone that I know that likes the first 2 Insidious movies don't like 3 and 4. And so what about your son? Does he, because 12 years old, I feel like not going to have that critical eye, just like where when I was 12, my favorite movie when I was 12 was like Spider-Man 2. So, you know what I mean? I've
been showing him some other movies. Like I showed him Predator the other night. It's R-rated, but I was watching this stuff. He always yells at me because he's like, you watched Nightmare on Elm Street when you were 9 years old. And I was like, yeah, do what I say, not what I do. So, but I'm trying to get him more into that stuff. And so his favorite movie is like mine, Big Trouble in Little China, because you show that to a 12-year-old, they're going to be like, this is the best thing of all time. They're not going to look at it as the critical and commercial flop it was in 1986. He likes the whole series. And actually, I think, Tonight's was actually his least favorite of the series.
Oh, wow.
But it's funny. He would consider this the jump scare. Like he's like, jump scares are the ones that get me. And this whole, every movie, including today's movie, is just full of jump scares.
Yeah, there is definitely a ton of jump scares. So, I mean, that's good lead in. So let's get into Insidious, the Red Door. The Lamberts must go deeper into the further than ever before to put their demons to rest once and for all. So again, we never do spoilers at the beginning, so don't worry about that. If you want to watch until we get into spoilers, feel free. And so, yeah, non-spoiler, what'd you think of it?
My least favorite of the Insidious movies, if I'm being honest. And yes, I do like 1 and 2, and there are a lot of parts that of 3 and 4 that, like I said, the fact that I don't remember it is more of a good thing than a bad thing. Because if I remembered it for disliking it, it's probably just the sheer volume of movies, particularly horror movies I watch. I will say both had good creature designs. Like in number 3, this person with an oxygen tank and a hospital gown, and they're just really tall and creepy. And one of my favorite things about this one, I think the production design was my favorite part of this movie. The painting that the main character does, and just all the paintings that they commissioned for this movie were incredible.
Yeah.
And they reminded me a lot of Night Gallery. I don't know if you've ever watched that, the sequel series. Yeah, it was Rod Serling's sequel series to Twilight Zone.
Yes. Yeah. I thought you were talking about a movie. Yeah.
No. So I was getting some Night Gallery vibes from it, and just as he kept painting it and adding shapes and things to it, I liked that. It's not a spoiler, so we can talk about it, but Patrick Wilson directed this movie.
Yeah.
And and again, not a spoiler, but did you watch the end credits?
Oh no, is there an end credits thing? I didn't even know. I left.
Not in the traditional sense, but did you hear the music that was playing in the song? So Patrick Wilson sings basically a power ballad with a Swedish band called Ghost. It's the end credit song. And it was so bad it's good. You need to go back and listen to it.
Really? Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm sitting there because there's dumb. If you're watching this, you don't need to stay for the end credit scene. It literally shows something you've already seen as just like a stinger. But you need to listen to him singing this power ballad of a song. I heard his voice and I'm sitting there, and my son's trying to see the end scene, and I'm looking up. I'm like, yep, I kind of wish I was wrong, but I was not wrong. That is he's doing it all. He's carrying this movie. He directed it. He stars in it. He's singing the end theme. He's great. I'm
very, very critical of just actors turned directors, where I don't know. I see a lot of the flaws in their films, and usually it's with pacing. And I didn't have an issue with, I was shocked at how much I enjoyed from this is his directorial debut, and I enjoyed so much of what he did with this. In fact, the only big issue that I had with essentially the direction, which this is more of a technical thing, I really didn't like that they changed from 2391 aspect ratio to 1851, because the first four movies are it's, for those unaware, it's like that super wide anamorphic widescreen. But then they do the taller widescreen that's more like the HD, like your TV. It takes, like what I was talking earlier about the series identity. I think so much of the identity is in that widescreen presentation. And so I know usually the reason that they change is budget wise, like a budgetary concern. But right. I didn't. This didn't look low budget, so I don't know what the reasoning for it was, but it really bugged me.
The thing I was going to say, I thought he did a really good job directing as well. There was a couple of interesting shots, like from different angles, but I also think he probably learned from Lee Winnell and
James Wan
from watching them. I mean, he's in almost every James Wan movie. Just about. He's not in Dead Silence, but he's in a ton of stuff.
One does that the sweeping shot, which literally one of the first shots of this movie is like in the cemetery. I got sick from that shot. Like it is uncomfortable, but like he's very clearly taking a lot of inspiration from them.
And they weren't bad shots. They were just like, okay, you're trying something new here. Like there's a scene of him in his kitchen, or he's in his mom's house, and he's in the kitchen making like instant coffee or whatever. And it showed like half a door frame, and it was kind of slightly up, and it was noticeable, but it didn't add anything. It was just like, okay, you're trying something new, and that's fine. But as a director, like the shots he used and the angles he took and the takes he used, I thought he did a good job. Hopefully he gets more work.
Did you notice too that one of like the thing that I enjoyed so much about it was, and I mentioned earlier of how it's the jump scare movie, and they seem to understand that, and they seem to understand that the audience thinks that too. So almost every shot, it seems like they're trying to frame it. I don't know if you ever noticed, especially the shots like looking directly at someone. It's like they're trying to make it so then you're worried that someone's going to pop out from behind, which I like that, because it's like that tension of, I don't know, the tension of expectation, I think just help. I don't know. It works really well for an established series like this that then can kind of play with, again, expectations.
Yeah. And there was a lot of times where they would, they would set up a shot for a jump scare, and almost like a Bob Dylan song where his singing is nearly impossible to time when it's going to happen. It doesn't come when you think it's going to happen. There was a lot of shots where the jump scare would happen a half second after you expect it to happen. And it made it more effective. And they weren't, I'd say most of them weren't cheap. They weren't the classic Friday the 13th Part 2 cat scare. That's like the bottom of the barrel cheapness that I judge them by. And these were pretty solid.
They earn it.
They do earn it. And again, this isn't really spoilers, but Rose Byrne, who isn't in this one as much as the other ones, I feel like she was collecting a paycheck. I didn't think her acting, it didn't seem like she cared at all during the whole movie.
Yeah, I could see that. I was disappointed because she's such an emotional anchor in the first two films.
Yes.
Then, she definitely has a big disconnect. But I kept kind of viewing that as I think that was them trying to. That was the story they were trying to tell, where she's had this secret and has had this thing where she's trying to keep the family together, but then clearly failed. And so I enjoyed how broken she was, while still she had that kind of broken while holding it together for the kids kind of thing, which I enjoyed. But speaking of bad acting, that the kid
the middle kid, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God, that kid is so bad. Which I know you're not supposed to talk about child actors and how bad they are, but
he's not even a child actor.
No, he's
not
not
like the kids from Kindergarten Cop. That kid had to have been 18 or 19. So I guess, like we'll get into, I guess, the spoilers near the end, but the stuff I didn't like, the acting, other than Patrick Wilson and the older kid who played Dalton, I thought the acting was atrocious. Other than that, like his roommate in college is one of the worst characters I've watched in a long time. I could not stand her.
Yeah, character wise, I get it.
I'm sure part of it was the script. Like they wrote that character. I'm sure she's a fine person and a fine actress, but they wrote that character to be overly obnoxious and too like, I'm going to be weird for the sake of weird. And it was distractingly awful for me.
I think the biggest mistake that they make with her is when they go to the frat party and they're like, or she says like, let's go look through people's rooms. It's like, what? Excuse me? It's like, I don't care if these are frat douchebags. You don't go look through their rooms, which then I feel like they even try to play it off as like, oh, it's not like she's trying to steal anything, because she like finds his wallet and like sees he has a bunch of money and then puts it back, where it really felt like that was them trying to be like, no, she's not stealing, don't worry. But I didn't like her, but I'm not gonna lie, I was real worried when you said the bad acting, and then you didn't mention Dalton at first. That his name is Ty Simpkins in real life. Ty Simpkins is, I think, the absolute. I mean, he is the star of the movie. He is the lead, but he is the standout. I was blown away by his performance, because I mostly remember him from the Insidious movies and then like Jurassic World, where he kind of is more just annoying. Where still good actor, but then he's just coming into his own. He was also in The Whale and was incredible in that. And so I don't know, the fact that there's one moment where he's looking towards camera and there's tears coming down his eyes. And I was like, yes, this kid has it.
Oh no, him and what's interesting is he even kind of sounds like a younger Patrick Wilson at points when he was talking. So the casting is great there too, because it's not like him as a little kid was going to sound like him. So that worked out. But he was very good at acting without talking. Like his emotion stuff when he's painting or when he's doing his charcoal drawings. And then when he's talking, he had decent comedic timing. Although I will say most of the humor fell really flat for me, or the attempts at humor. And it was mostly his roommate character. But yeah, he was really good. And Patrick, and like I said, the two, lead, the main character and then the, almost side story character at some point, they were the best. And speaking of side story, I felt like the whole movie was a side story rather than a continuation. I felt it really meandered, and I didn't feel like they explained things very well.
Spoiler wise, so what did you have such a problem with this movie? Because I genuinely, it's so funny because like you said, this is your least favorite in the series. This is my favorite in the series, like easily. And this movie made me like 1 and 2 more.
And I'm really happy for that. And I hope as a horror movie, it does well. I won't be watching this again. I didn't think, I thought the story meandered too much. I didn't think it had much of a purpose. I don't even think they explained fully the red door unless I missed something big.
Yeah, that's where he that's where what's his name lives, the lipstick demon. That's why that's why it ends with him like being in front of it, and that's why the one dude is like, close the door. So then he blacks it out.
I guess I wanted more like when they introduce his dad, which is definitely part of the spoiler section. You get to hear about Patrick Wilson's dad, who we know was gone the whole time. The mom was divorced. I don't think the preview shows it, but the mom is dead at the beginning of this movie. Patrick Wilson's mom. Yeah,
the previews have they're at a funeral.
I guess I wanted more meaning to the title, or if they were able to show, like they did do flashbacks, like they showed Dalton got to go back as an adult through the further and watch the last part of Insidious 2. And I get that he lives behind the red door, but give us some significance for that, some family significance. Even they introduced the dad, and it's like, oh, the dad was kind of crazy too, and he killed himself to try to stop it from happening to the family, but it didn't tie into that specifically. I guess I was looking for more. And I felt like, okay, there's no new information here. There's, they were hypnotized for 9 years and now it's coming back. Like, I felt like the movie was made just to be made, instead of being like, yeah, we're going to have a really clear, concise, like, let's explain more. And they tried to with introducing the dad and things like that. But yeah, it really didn't do anything for me, to be completely honest.
I would say that definitely for me, the whole point of the movie and the meaning of it is why I actually enjoyed it so much. And it's a big reason why I didn't like, especially on this viewing, the first two. And I don't like films that don't really have completed stories, I feel. And I think that both of those movies kind of end on both cliffhangers and just non-completed stories, where the end of the first one, he's hypnotized, and then the end of the second one, or the end of the first one, he's possessed, and the end of the second one, he's hypnotized. So then in this one, the fact that then they address that of like, no, you can't just hide and put that stuff away. You have to actually face it. I really enjoyed that. And the father-son element really, really connected with me. Just a lot of that stuff, and the whole going to college, I don't know, that disconnect that you can have with your parents. I really enjoyed that, and how once the full picture started coming together of like, once both of them were in the further but separate, where it was like, oh my God, these two people who have been so apart and have had such issues with each other, they have to then have like come together, be able to like beat this thing, which I found very, very sentimental and nice, and I enjoyed that, because the fact that then I didn't like the message, especially at the end of 2, where it was like, we can just ignore it. If we ignore it, it'll be fine. Because even in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, where she's like, it isn't real, she essentially tries to ignore it, and it's like, doesn't work. Like I don't.
But he still killed all those people.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, there's stuff in this that after the first like half hour, I was like, I mean, okay, it's fine. I really am enjoying Ty Simpkins. But then as it kept going on, I was like, oh my God, I like how much it's making me like the other movies, which I don't have. I'm trying to think of a sequel that then makes me appreciate a film that came before it, like this, where usually when they're doing these kinds of legacy sequels, because this is essentially a legacy sequel, even though it is like very close to when the original came out. And I think that a lot of those elements that usually would bug me, and that population as a whole seems to be very like going against legacy sequels right now. And this one just, I don't know, it connected with me in a way that I wasn't expecting. And I really like Patrick Wilson, so I think that's a big portion of that too.
And I'm really happy to hear that. I think maybe just from a subjective standpoint, it just didn't resonate with me then. And it's interesting because my parents got divorced. And so you think that would have fit. I have kids, right? And I have one that lives several states away. And I guess I just felt like they took a 10-minute car ride when a 2-minute walk across the street would have sufficed, if that makes sense. I just think it took too long to get there, and I wasn't as invested.
Mm-hmm.
And they went back and they showed like they should, even when the best thing Rose Byrne did for me in this was she's like, the kids were afraid of you. They don't know that you were possessed by some demon like I do. They just remember their dad coming after them with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And that stuff definitely made me feel it. It just did not resonate with me. And it's funny, I'm sitting there with my son watching the movie. So you'd think this would be like pulling my heartstrings and everything, but I couldn't. At the end of the day, I was just like, okay, well, the movie's over. And I will say, I'm glad that there was no cliffhanger. There's no, this is meant to be the last Insidious movie. And I was very happy about that. I liked that
the last Lambert story Insidious movie. It's like they're filming one right now.
Yeah.
Threads.
That's true, because if a horror movie series is popular, they'll find a way to make it. But and then I did like the very end when he goes and visits his son in college. That was nice. And they hug it out, and he made the wall. His son finally painted him, where in the beginning, early on, he was like, no pictures of me, huh, pal? And he's like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. But then like they literally crowbarred Lin Shaye into the end, where she appears as, a Force ghost from Star Wars to say hi to him. And then, she's gone, because he doesn't remember her, even though he remembered everything else. So that was frustrating. However, and this is a spoiler too, because apparently they don't appear in anything, but I thoroughly enjoyed the cheap YouTube video that Specs and I forget what the other guy's name is appear in, Lee Winnell and the guy that I know.
Killed in one of the movies?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so, because that's why as soon as they popped up, I was like, why are they not actually in this?
Because 3 and 4 are prequels. So
I just couldn't. I couldn't remember if I just like missed something, or I'm like, why are they in a YouTube video versus like? But I mean, it's a clever way to be able to show them.
Yes, and I guess so. Lee Winnell, like, he was all over the credits. He produced it. The characters were based on his stuff, and then even he didn't do the screenplay, but he wrote the story for this.
Yeah.
So maybe he's off doing other things.
I think originally he was supposed to direct this one, but then I think Patrick Wilson took over. But yeah, I'm very glad that Patrick Wilson has like Lee Winnell and James Wan as his like.
Yes, I'm okay with it. Get another one of those guys in there. And I will say, I think you mentioned you like The Conjuring better.
Yeah, much better.
I think the Conjuring movies are more adult movies, and these are like the teenage movies.
Yes.
Which I don't know if you saw the Nun 2 preview drop today.
Yes, I saw it. Yes. I'm all about those. I love the first Nun. I like that gothic horror, and I like the setting in this one. It almost looks like Pope's Exorcist at times. So I'm all about that.
Yeah, and the fact that this universe now has the James Wan cinematic universe, because the Insidious movies aren't tied to The Conjuring, but the Annabelle movies are definitely tied to The Conjuring. Yeah. But you have 5 Insidious movies, you have 3 Conjuring movies, 3 Annabelle movies, and now 2 Nun movies. And then La Llorona, I think, is technically like in that same general area.
Yeah, that's like that's the only one that I haven't. It's technically considered Conjuring verse, but I just haven't. It doesn't interest me.
One of the few movies that I think I didn't even make it all the way through, if I'm being honest. I have no memory of it. I definitely started it. I have no memory of it.
And I love Linda Cardellini too. Yeah, it's like she's fantastic. It's like ever since Freaks and Geeks, I'm all about her, but I can't. Yeah, there's something. Oh, I just remembered something that we have to discuss. Nick the Dick. What in the world? What was I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I enjoyed that section just because I know several people that are like that.
Well, he gives a speech on the staircase wearing his diaper and baby bonnet. And then like, it's almost like the movie knew we would hate him, because then he gets like IBS while he's trying to hook up with a college girl. And he's like, he kicks her out. Yeah, he was a throwaway dumb character that you don't root for. I kind of thought when the demon was choking his roommate in real life that they would kill off that guy, but
I thought for sure is the only reason he was even introduced. And because I went to the IMDb beforehand and I saw Nick the Dick. I was like, what kind of a character name is Nick the Dick? And then as soon as he popped up on screen, I was like, oh, that's Nick the Dick for sure.
Yeah. And then they chant it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And there's, yeah, the college aspect, I think it's interesting just because they are able to do essentially the whole separation thing where he's on his own. He's not doesn't have mommy and daddy to protect him. So that kind of thing, I think that there's just good parallels between just going off to college and trying to discover your own life and trying to essentially then be able to reconnect with your parent for something that maybe they didn't do a great job, and it's like you have that then perspective later on. There was a lot that I really, really enjoyed and connected with, and I went into this, my expectations, because you and I have talked, I think it was like 2 months ago that we had talked about you coming on for this movie in particular, and I have not once been excited for it. It's been one of those movies I've been kind of dreading a little bit just because I thought that I was going to be the negative person on this episode. And I don't like being negative about, I'm always just trying to be honest. So yeah. That's not something I seek for any of these shows where I'm like, I just want to watch a movie and hopefully enjoy it. Just doesn't always work out that way.
There are way too many times on this channel that I defend movies that aren't great. I was glad to give my honest opinion. Like I watched you, John, and Lance talk about Jaws 3D, and
Jaws 2.
I had to defend Jaws 2, and then I think you guys brought up Jaws 3 and 4. I had to defend Jaws 3D, and it was interesting to learn all the behind the scenes crap. But that was one of the hardest movies I've had to defend.
I can imagine.
Here's another thing. So I think there's a lot of people that it's going to resonate in the same way it did with you, just on a personal level, and it just didn't happen to hit me that way. There are other movies that'll hit me that won't hit other people. Here's the other thing, and you're very good about not telling me your opinion, because you'll often see movies before I do, but you'll be like, Andrew, see this, I want to know your opinion, or Andrew, I know you're going to like this. You didn't tell me anything about the Boogeyman, and I went into the Boogeyman with lower than low bar expectations, ended up having a blast with it. I went into this movie with incredibly high expectations, and just the little things distracted me, I think. And, maybe I'll watch it again. I know I just said I wouldn't, but I'm sure my son's going to want to marathon him at some point. It's funny. I felt like, because he was asking me in the car, I felt like I was influencing his enjoyment of the film too. Because I was like, no, you tell me what you thought first, and then I will tell you. But my final rating on this, unless you have more to say,
let's do ratings.
It's a 6, and for a while it was like in the 5.5 range.
Damn, I thought you were going to go lower than that.
No, because there was still like the painting alone. Like when people the painting doesn't really show up in the preview, and the painting alone, and the little things like the YouTube video, the fact that Patrick Wilson directed and did a fine job. He was good acting wise. Ty Simpkins did a good job. Like all that stuff, it makes it more than watchable. I mean, if you still look, like a 6 is a D, right? 6 out of 10 is a D. Yeah. But I consider it's
movie reviews are just different though. I feel like I always try and get that across to people, where it's like, this isn't like your term paper. Like a 6 out of 10 can be fine. A 5 out of 10 can still be fine. Like it doesn't have to mean you're a failure.
No, and I'll agree with that, because there are multiple 5 out of 10 movies that I've watched tons of times because I find entertainment in them. This one, I think, for just disappointment, like I said, it was, I think, until that end scene, I guess the sum of its parts are greater than the whole for me. I liked a lot of little things about the movie that added up to about a 6, maybe a 5.5, and then my son gave it, I think he was going to tell me 8. He ended up with a 7. He said it was his least favorite too. Again, this is the kid who I have just inundated with movies almost his whole life. So I think he, he doesn't want to go against me that much. So I respect that. But his final was a 7. What would you give this?
So my review released on Joe Blow on Friday, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. And I actually was I don't know. This is probably the closest I've come to giving like an 8, when I then still ended up giving a 7, where I really connected with this movie and really enjoyed it in a way that I didn't expect. And so that alone just helped out. And there was the Lin Shaye nonsense at the end. There was just enough stuff. And Rose Byrne, it doesn't work. Just in terms of, and I didn't mind her performance, because like I had said before about the how I feel like why there was a reason for that kind of stonewalling that she was doing. But I wanted more of her in it. And they kind of bring them back together in the end. But I also didn't like that they got divorced. Like I don't know. I like them as a couple so much. So then I don't know. That made me feel icky. But yeah. I think we pretty much covered it. That's really all. Next week on the show should be a pretty fun one. We're doing the alligator movie, The Flood, with special guest Casper Van Dien. Yes. It'll be one of those things it'll be an interview like after we do the actual show, because obviously we're not going to have him on while talking about the film that he's in, because that would be very awkward. And Mike Conway will be back on to discuss the movie. It'll be interesting. I mean, I always tell you guys, we don't do small IPs, but when you can interview Casper Van Dien for it, then or Casper Van Dien. I guess I should figure out how to say his name first, but yeah, that's really all. Andrew, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.